Hey guys, it's the Gundam Boy, and today we're going to be taking a look at the explosive crossbow. Who would have guessed that something so archaic would be so powerful? Also, this video is going to be slightly different, as you can see from the length of time, assuming that I actually get enough stuff to talk about. Nothing major, but I'm going to be talking about a little bit of loadout stuff for each faction that I personally use, but it's not too different from what I usually do. So, let's take a look at the crossbow. And if you want to get your hands on this weapon, it's in democratic detonation on the last page. With a damage of 620, a capacity of 5, recoil of 35, and a fire rate of 60. It has medium pen, explosive damage, and it's one-handed. And if we take a look at its explosion range, we can see that its blast radius is pretty wide. Like my fat cat. When it comes to handling the weapon in-game, it has no problem with its snappy aim. It has no weapon settings other than semi. Don't know why we have this. Maybe we'll get a full auto option in the future with 69,420 RPM. And yes, it needs to be that number or I'm gonna riot. And since it shoots a bolt, you'd expect the crossbow to be pretty limited on its range. Well, I mean, if you point this gun a little too high up, you're never seeing that bolt again. It's quite the opposite, though. This bolt can travel far. You just need to compensate for your angle. I find that you get the best out of this gun if you can shoot smaller enemies with something like a sidearm, rather than waste a full bolt on something like a scav. And since it has an explosive round to it, fabricators, bug nests, spaceships, you can take them all. So let's look at how it fares against the Illuminate. So no combat footage, though, because we bullied them so hard that they've decided to not attack anymore. But they have like 5 enemy variants, so, well, 6 if you count the Helldivers. Hopeless are simple, pathetic creatures that will die in one shot, and ragdoll all over the place. Get them into a mosh pit and aim for the center of mass, and watch as you create a undemocratic meatball. Both overseers are defenseless when it crosses your bow. See what I did there? Shredding armor with its high stopping power. Though I will have to say, chasing the elevated overseers when they're doing their high-speed maneuvers can be a little annoying. And for the Harvester, they're not a good match with its shield and its overall armor rating because it has a lot of explosive resistance. But you're not defenseless. You can totally take these guys down if you aim for their leg joints. It could just be kind of a hassle if you're in a heavy firefight. It's kind of comical that a machine gun can do just as much damage, especially when you consider that the Harvester is an advanced alien weapon. For my loadout, I like to use either the Talon or the Verdict as my secondary. A grenade, which I'd use would be stun. For the armor, I wear fortified for the recoil control to support my stratagem weapon. For the stratagems, I use HMG for targeting things like Harvester's joints. Supply pack to fund my annihilation effort. And if there's a lot of places where I can go vertically, I take the hover pack so I can camp on top of buildings. And then I take 2 red stratagems of whatever I feel like. This loadout lets you balance out the anti-tank capabilities with your crowd control. Once enemies get too close for the crossbow to use, you can swap to your secondary or your HMG to mow down the horde, while still allowing you to take on things like Harvesters. But if the generalist role isn't your cup of liberty and you have a well-rounded team, I have an option for a full crowd control. So the secondary is going to be the Talon, gas grenades, engineering kit for more grenades, and for the stratagems I go machine gun sentry, guard dog, it could be guard dog gas, gun, laser, napalm strike, and strafe run. This loadout works pretty well in urban combat situations where you can just throw your gas grenades in front of you so that all the illuminate will dance inside there while you pop shots at them. And with that out of the way, let's move on to the bug front. So against any of the lesser bug chaff enemies like scav, hunters, and warriors, they're easy targets to pick off, typically dying in one shot if you hit them directly or if they're even in the splash. The only time I feel sad while using the crossbow is when there's lack of enemies grouped together to use the full explosive power. Coughing scavenger versus explosive crossbow. Begin! Against the greater chaff enemies, we can take down hive guards, bile spears, and brood commanders with ease. Brood commanders who always call for backup are always countered by a shot from the crossbow. If you aim for the middle where both warriors spawn, you can hit everybody. And since bile spears don't have any defense on that ass, explosive rounds will tear 'em a new butthole. Even the charger's ass isn't safe. Aiming for the butt sack can kill it in a few shots. And for a crowd control loadout that I use on the bugs, I have the Verdict as my secondary, gas, fire, or dynamite for my grenade, siege ready since you're going to be shooting a lot, and for my stratagems, I have rocket sentry, guard dog, napalm barrage, and the commando. But if you're playing with friends, alternatively, I will use either the flamethrower or the sterilizer. On the bot front, we will find that troopers are not surprised. But it is good for ambushing those patrols that have a bunch of these fuckers, and with the wide blast range that it has, you're going to be cleaving through a lot of the automatons. When it comes against the dev units across the board, they are all countered by the crossbow. The shield heavy dev isn't even going to be able to protect themselves from all this splash. Against berserkers, this gun makes them very laughably easy. If you're playing on a lower difficulty, scout striders, the unarmored ones, are killed basically in one shot. But if you're going up against the armored scout striders, nothing changes really too much through them. Then we also have a Hulk, which it's actually pretty good for killing them. Throw a stun and walk around and just give him some back shots. The loadout I use on the bot front is kind of a generalist loadout, using the fortified armor, Senator or the Talon, stun or gas depending on the constellations, and for my stratagems I use laser cannon, ballistic shield, airstrike, and rail cannon strike. But that's the end of my video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, or else.